tonight. You know what I'm just gonna just keep grinding until I hit that number because I gotta get some things in, bro.
You said that on Monday. Wait a minute. Okay, sure. Let's say
Monday, what is it? Friday is the new Monday, right?
Yeah, let's go.
Friday is the real Monday. That is true. I can confirm. Let's take a look at our teams to focus here. Let's start off with you, Maxman this time. DRS, Thunder Talk, and D+. Why that? Why this?
I mean, Jukes said earlier that there's always just one or two teams that just wins all the Sanoks per group, and right now DRS actually their best performances are on guess what? They're on Sanok. They got a 3rd place and they got a 4th place also on that map. Thing is, they're still lacking on the elimination front of things, though. That's if we get another Western Island, which you've had a bunch of those. So it just keeps happening. If we have an Eastern Circle, though, are we going to have another good DRS position there? I'm not sure, but Jukes, we need something different on Sanok. It's always been the same.
Yeah, I mean, mix it up for what? It's so crazy to watch. And DRS, they could use it big time. I mean, they're currently sitting in last place, and they need that win. They need that good game just to kind of take all that weight off their shoulders and just kind of make it happen. Because we saw what happened with Brute Force yesterday, right? Brute Force, they got a chicken dinner, and then it was just all downhill from there.
And I'm also trying to be nice because all the DRS fans were telling me, Max, don't put them as your top 3 predictions. Okay, you're going to curse them. I did not pick them, like, once. And they're at the bottom, so I'm going to help you out, guys. The reverse curse is happening. So DRS will be out of bottom 5 today. I'm calling it. It's happening.
Reverse curse technique.
Yes.
I love it.
Purple.
If it doesn't happen, if they don't get a top 5, what are you willing to wager here?
They can't go much lower, Jason. What do you
Are
want?
you willing to wager your Infinix GT20 Pro to give it to Hot Jukes if DRS are not out of bottom 5?
No, I value my Infinix GT20 Pro more than my eyebrows,
man.
Jason. You should have taken my eyebrows. That was your chance. But no.
You always say no when I ask that, so I gave up. Obviously, about to hop into our matches here. I actually do wonder if we're going to talk about something that was on the show yesterday that we really loved about these stolen eliminations, which has been honestly a thing of beauty to see. Because we're never really able to tell too easily, like, how often do teams steal these elims, which, as we saw yesterday, amounts to a huge amount of elims and points, inevitably, for a team.
I mean, looking at the... Do you want to go? Oh,
You go ahead. You go ahead.
oh,
Nick.
I go ahead? I go ahead. Me go ahead. Okay, no, looking at the elimination count of Influence Rage, of course, we know they had a total so far of 68 eliminations, but actually, out of those, they got themselves 17 stolen eliminations, which that is... The ratio that we got from Dennis and also John Allen was 25% of their elimination points come purely from those stolen eliminations. And we've seen it many times, Hodges, on all the battlegrounds, especially on Erangel. They're so third-party focused, and this highlights to me, Hodges, the fact that they got so many stolen elims that their timing on their third party is absolutely perfect. They're able to not only eliminate one of the teams, but also snatch away the initial eliminations that were picked up at the start of that fight. So third party right now, Influence Rage are the best team when it comes down to that in this lobby.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. As far as conversion rate goes, though, percentage-wise, it's actually going to be Cowboy Donkey on top there with 31 eliminations, 8 totals there. So that's going to be about 26%. So, I mean, I think that's what's kind of keeping them in the game here at this point, right? Being able to soak up some of those points off of, other people's knocks is just so advantageous. It's a stat I have been waiting for so long to see, Jason, and I'm so happy we're finally bringing it to the table here at PMGC because the meta is just constantly shifting, right? And I do believe this is the best PUBG Mobile that we have seen ever, right? And so to see this stat come up, it's great because it gets a little bit of a deeper dive into just how these teams are able to just stay on top and to see, Influence Rage with 17 stolen points, D plus Kia with 14. It makes sense why these guys are on top.
Yeah, and I know John will probably go into this because he is, of course, our resident stat man here. But he did bring up a good point talking about Influence Rage compared to Brute Force. Now, Influence Rage sitting on 68 eliminations with 25% of those being stolen elims. And Brute Force are on 65 eliminations with 9% of those being stolen eliminations, only at 6. So obviously this kind of gives us the ability to kind of analyze how these teams are getting their points when it comes to eliminations. And it seems, Max, Brute Force, they're the ones taking head-to-head fights, whereas Influence Rage seem to be the team third party.
I think we saw it especially yesterday on Miramar, Jason. They're just, they see a team that they have to go for the crash, they send it very quickly, the fights are snappy and they end it quickly, which means there's no opportunity to get third party. They're not showing the points, Jason. They're just like, no, my points, get away, and we're just going to make sure we secure our top 3 spots. So they're making their own luck when it comes to the eliminations, and I gotta say, Right now, Jason, Brute Force has been one of the biggest surprises of this group, and I'm really intrigued to see, are they going to continue that in day 3 of Group Green? Ooh.
Well, we're going to find out. I'm more curious to see, can we have a team win 3 Sandhawks over the course of just 3 days? We had I get up to 2 D+, they're currently sitting on 2. We're going to find out if they can break the curse here and pull off a 3rd as we dive into Sandhawk with John, Allen, and Blake.
We are getting underway for the second half here of the last group of PMGC. It is Group Green, and unlucky for some, it's match 13.
Very unlucky for some, but luckily we were a Saturday, so yeah, it's not too bad, not too bad. So I think for some of these teams, a look needs to be on their side anyway, considering that we have some teams trying to break out in towards that top 3. Some teams have started to pedal on ahead, such as Brute Force, who have looked very, very strong over the last day, getting into multiple end games, which has been good to see. And I think it's definitely a curious one, especially on a map like Sandhawk, with Brute Force having so much control over towards that north side in so many games that they play, but not being able to quite translate it here.
Trying to play on that full crash style. I mean, the guys on the desk perfectly summarized, right, those stolen Elim point stats, and I think that maybe that could play into it. Brute Force's strategy of being aggressive on positioning, sort of playing as a ball, not going for those wider sweeping splits, just crashing in and securing everything for themselves. Maybe not playing out as well. They have had a pretty rough time on the circles on the north side, Blank. I think that it's safe to say we may have another one now as we go for another river split over on Sandhawk. It might not be the greatest of situations for Brute Force, but we are going to see if they can stretch their legs here on the north side of Sandhawk as we go again up to potentially the Northwest Island, but maybe back over to Paradise Resort.
Yeah, potentially. I think it's weird because I genuinely think that Brute Force actually plays very well on these types of circles. I think these are the circles that are their playgrounds, or used to be at least, where they would get so much success from Cow side. A lot of that success has been pilfered by Team Secret over towards Mong Nai, though, recently on Sandhawk. It's an odd one, though I think that Brute Force's step up came later on in the day, whereas now maybe they'll have some of that confidence back to, as you say, play more of that death ball and go off the back of that. So for Brute Force, currently in second place with 107 points, taking over that position that D+ held for so long. Maybe they can keep that up with just that play style and maybe a stronger map here over on Sandhawk. Let's talk about 4MV though, John. We heard Seven talking to them over on the old stage, and I think that for 4MV, that is the right decision to make. And I respect it from Doc. I think that everyone knows that this guy knows he's very good at the game. And to be able to come out on stage and be like, look, guys, this is way harder than we thought it was going to be. I respect that. I respect that in a big way.
Yeah, that's definitely more in tune with the sort of line of thinking we were expecting from 4MV. So it's good to know that that is in that camp. But we gave them a lot of shtick yesterday, and I think rightly so for the answer they gave. But that goes to show, I think, that they have gone for that mental reset. I'm happy. I'm impressed that they've been able to pull that out. But the question is, will it help? Right? Will it assist them, and will it move them forwards into a better performance? Influence Rage right now in a fight and a little scrap with 77. Going to move up onto the cliffside, but 77 seemingly in the driving seat today. Is it their day? We'll have to wait and see, but at the moment, they have managed to take one of Influence Rage down. They've got a player on the far shoreline as well for 77. They've got actually two players. That is a great shot from Lorazin, though, and that might just be the opening they were looking for. A send out wide, and Zadira doesn't have any control on the situation anymore with Magnum gone. He can't stop him. And Influence Rage, with 3 players alive, managed to take down one wing of 77.
Yeah, Lorazin just hit some disgusting shots over towards 77. Magnum was essential there to get that off angle so Zadira could have played off the back of him. Instantly taking him out there. Doc even finding Shifu. And I think I will say this, because it ties back into 4MV quite nicely with the way that 77 is playing, very aggressive and taking some of these positions that might have worked back in PMSL EMEA. There was a very specific thing that Doc said was a case of we can't play how we'd like to play, which is what we've seen over the past couple of days, even on Sandhawk. In particular, with them trying to push up towards Undertalks on the mountain. They knew that they were there yesterday. They still went for it. It was a poor trade from them, but that's because they assume that they can just take on anyone inside of this lobby. And I think for 4MV to be like, we have to pull back a little bit. We have to play slower. We don't have the circle. We're going to have to play on the edge. We'll have to take a little bit more disciplined fights there. Doc doesn't even go too hard on that one. A lot of times over those past couple of days, you might have seen 4MV full send it over towards that position. So I genuinely think that this might be comeback time for 4MV.
I mean, yeah, their first rotation here was very, very well timed as well, Blank. They moved from Painan over to the Shallows crossing north of Ruins and sent up that coastline, right? It seemed like they'd figured out a timing to find that opening. The Vicious came in behind them on the same rotate, and both of them are now in a central, similar position, but not going for that high ground. I think you're right, that's a good adaptation. Influence Rage back into the boot camp, trying to take on RCB now. They've got 2 points under the belt. Can they get more? They will still be in the circle with that location, and we'll see if they can weather that storm. RRQ moving in from the south side, passing Ruins right now, following in the footsteps of both 4MV and the Vicious, who have both managed to get across the river as well. Let's see if they take the same approach. It looks like they're going to be slower, and because of the fact they've been out of the circle now, it's coming up to 6.5 minutes. This is reasonable. You're expecting teams to be in your way. You're expecting to have roadblocks.
There is that nice warehouse that they could move over towards on the Confluence Bridge, which is a decent position to play, honestly, going forward. Not going to give them the most agency over the circle, but I imagine that they're going to stop short, wait it out a little bit for stage 2, which is in about 40 seconds. Most teams are biding their time now. Even Team Liquid over towards the eastern edge alongside with Brute Force on that north side. Both these teams have stopped short of the Northwest Island. They're waiting for that confirmation, because if they need to make a quick wrap back over towards the eastern side, they don't want to be in that situation where you're struggling to leave with Team Little shooting at you from Northwest Island. Yeah, I like that play from 4MV. I think that it's a smart one, which is off the back of them seeing the fight going on between Influence Rage and 77. As soon as they got a pick off onto Shifu with Doc, they were like, actually, this is perfect timing for us. We can make the crossing now. There is a safe compound to play, and this will give them a lot of benefit now going into our next circles. This heads over towards the north side, centering up in Hartin. Team Liquid, Brute Force, and Team Secret all have the chance to cross the bridge. I will say that Team Liquid is a little bit closer though, John, and have that opportunity to guard the bridge here, which they've done so many times in the past.
Can be difficult though to get across. I mean, for Team Liquid, I think in terms of getting across, their main target location is probably the edge of Hartin. And if they haven't scouted that there's no one in there, that's going to be difficult to maybe make that call. So we'll have to see if they can find that opening, find that window to jump on through. In the meantime, we're going to tune back into boot camp, which is going to have the hurry up from the circle. One knock sent either way. A nice long range angle found from the back lines from RCB to get the knock. Wild is down on the front lines, and Loxy goes down to a nade from Lorizin as well. The guy just doesn't stop, but finally, Silas is on the case, and this guy, the veteranship, steering him right. As Wild does go down fully to that nade, but he's looking to try and change the tune, the cadence of the fight. Law at the back line, looking for the healing, bobbling the nade over the top.
Really good
nearly
nade.
nailing the knock, but doing a lot of damage in the process. A lot of work being done by the veteran, as Silas looking to get that flush, confirms one more. Loxy back to his feet, the move forwards from the backup, and RCB are closing the net. The stranglehold on boot camp, it's working out for them.
Silas to a very nice nade over the top side. Nice about that one coming in. I think for Law, it's pretty much over. So very stylish plays coming through from stylish Stylus. We almost had it. But yeah, very, very good. I was happy. Yeah, absolutely. I was very happy to see that. And I mean, to be honest with you, Silas has always been the frontline member for RCB, hitting some really good shots. And not being the player that you would expect to be making those plays. Maybe you would assume he'd take a bit of a backseat for some of the younger players essentially in the squad, let's say, but he is still playing at the forefront for that team and a lot of times bailing them out from some very difficult situations. Always said that about Silas, that I really do like how he's just continued to show strong performances throughout the years. Team Secret finding Brute Force again. This was that crossing I was talking about earlier that always goes awry. Team Secret causing problems for Brute Force. I think that's because they haven't played against the team in Mong Nai very often. A lot of times in PMSL EMEA, that area of the map is completely open, so Brute Force is not used to having a team constantly barraging them from the back. But I think by day 3, this is something you should have really expected.
Potentially a little bit more research to have gotten on, especially given the number of circles we've seen up to this area, right? I think, actually, have we had all of our circles finish up near Hard 10 on Sandhawk so far in this group?
A lot.
I think we might have done. Definitely yesterday's. And the one before that, I think also. Maxman certainly loves these circles. This is actually the favorite part of the map for him. It's almost as favorable for him as Barn is for Calaris, I think. It's sort of that level. So he's obviously going to be elated to see this one unfold again in the same area of the map. Next circle going to be coming on in 5 seconds.
It's an unfun area. It really is, because so many teams have this weird situation where it's unconfirmed on either side, and a lot of our circles here have had some of the Eastern Island cut in as well, as you see on our screens. And this easily could head back over towards the eastern side and support Cellcom Digi Alliance, but it really does make it tough going into the future for a lot of our squads. Now, 4MV, this is where I hope they can get a strong game off the back of this one. That compound is very safe down towards the south side. It's very central as well. CAG Osaka moving up over towards Dock here, and this is a wide split from him. Has to immediately run back towards his team, doesn't even try to fight it, more or less playing as a scouting position, assuming when the next team's going to be going up over towards that high ground. I think he was even scouting out for his teammates, but CAG make that quick rotate coming in from Camp Alpha, and now it's RRQ going up against Von Donkey.
They are not going to have the best of times on the roll-up. RRQ, they were on that northwest side, one of the few teams to actually get cut out by the circle. As hard a shift as it was, there weren't actually that many teams to suffer from it, but RRQ were one, and they had to make their move over towards Voin Donkey themselves and in towards the northwest side of Hartin. They only managed to get Fnatic into the building, and he's into the fight still. Brute Force with their remnants, Neos on that north side. Influence Rage already out. The top of the table starting to suffer. D+ slow on their rotate approach from the south. You can see them on the picture-in-picture as Fnatic tries to hold his nerve against the 1v1.
A lot of times for